Up Call, DT.com. We're back on Facebook Live, back with the conclusion here of the NFC running backs. So let's go back to the Giants. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley, and we can make this a quick one because it's obviously an easy one to be had.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley's the man. Saquon Barkley's the guy. If you have a chance to get Saquon Barkley, get him, because the guy who had the first pick obviously messed up and didn't take him. So, yeah, Saquon's your guy. He's going to get 300 touches this year. He's going to score more points than any running back this year. He's going to catch more passes. He's going to have more ground yards, probably 1,500 ground yards and maybe, 500. He'll probably get 2,000 total yards for these. So, yeah, Saquon Barkley's the guy.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley last season, 261 rush attempts in 16 games and 11 rushing touchdowns, 1,307 yards. This is all as a rookie, folks. Yards per attempt, exactly 5 yards per carry. We'll make it easy on you. Saquon is the guy, Saquon Barkley. If you got the number one pick, you got to consider it. If you have 2 or 3, it's like being San Francisco in this year's draft and getting Nick Bosa. Just do it. You know to draft Saquon. If the number one guy, number one girl passes on Saquon Barkley, he is yours, and he should be. Philadelphia is up next. They have Jordan Howard from Chicago. Corey Clement, who is undrafted but very good out of Wisconsin, can catch the ball and run the ball, was a big part of their Super Bowl championship victory, their first ever. Josh Adams out of Notre Dame is still there, and Wendell Smallwood is there as well out of West Virginia, still entrenched there. And they have the fact that they actually went into the draft and decided they needed to pick up another guy just to confuse themselves even more in Philadelphia. So Philadelphia spent a draft pick on the running back position, and they went and got Miles Sanders in the second round out of Penn State. So, Mike, Miles Sanders, Wendell Smallwood, Josh Adams, Corey Clement, Jordan Howard. Who the heck emerges from this thing?
Miles Sanders. It's easy. Look, Jordan Howard couldn't get it done in Chicago. Jordan Howard had a year or two where he looked really good. Jordan Howard's a good running back. He's not a great running back. Take a look at Miles Sanders. Where did he come from? Penn State. Who did he play behind or not play behind? Saquon Barkley. He's had to bide his time. He's used to being patient. He'll be patient here, but he'll be around it in later. Look, Jordan Howard's a decent guy. He'll start out as the starter. Miles Sanders will be there, but he can do everything Saquon can do. He's Saquon Jr., Saquon, small a at the end, asterisk, whatever you want to put, that's what Miles Sanders is. Corey Clement's still going to get his share. Wendell Smallwood, Donnell Pumphrey, who I thought would be making things happen like a Darren Sproles. And by the way, the 110 Darren Sproles is still around there somewhere, I'm sure. Boston Scott, who I thought would have some sort of participation here, but no. It's all going to be Miles Sanders. I wouldn't doubt it if it's by week 3 or 4. I don't think it's going to happen much sooner than that, but it could be a little bit later than that. Miles Sanders is definitely the dynasty pick here, and Miles Sanders goes into a good situation. He's not expected to start, but he's going to end up starting. He's not expected to lead the team in carries and touches. He's probably going to end up leading the team in carries and touches. He's not expected to lead the team in yardage, but he's probably going to. So keep all those things in mind. Miles Sanders is a guy that you want to sneak up and take. I don't know where you would take him now. I think if I was drafting now, I'd be satisfied with him as my 3rd or 4th running back. And I throw the dice sometimes. You have to throw the dice. Things happen. You have to take some chances, and you have to have a little luck for things to go your way for you to win championships.
Yeah.
But I call luck labor under correct knowledge. So, again, if you're listening to us here, if you're going to HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com, you're going to be able to have that luck, that labor under correct knowledge. You're going to draft for Miles Sanders at the appropriate time in the draft, and you're going to do well this year. Miles Sanders is your long-term answer in Philadelphia.
I love that. And I'm going to put that here. Labor stands for, or luck stands for labor under correct knowledge. Beautiful thing here. Labor under correct knowledge is luck. Labor under correct knowledge.
Well, it's all the time. People say, oh, you're so lucky. How do you get so lucky? Oh, you get luck. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes involved. You put yourself in a position to be lucky. It doesn't just happen. Yeah, luck happens. The ball bounces your way every once in a while, but you put yourself in a position to be lucky. That's labor under correct knowledge.
Absolutely. And I agree with it. And you know what? Jordan Howard, I agree with that too. Somebody's going to take Jordan Howard. Somebody's going to take him really high. Somebody's going to take him as a late first rounder, early second rounder, depending on how the draft goes. And I'm going to let them do it. Because Corey Clement, he's a guy that can catch passes. He's a guy that's proven that Carson Wentz and Nick Foles can trust in him. So he's somewhere in this draft. But somebody's going to take Jordan Howard way too early, and somebody's going to ask if Darren Sproles is still alive. Besides that, Corey Clement is a guy to look to, and Miles Sanders. Let's just talk about Miles Sanders' numbers. Can we do that for a second? Saquon Barkley goes to the Giants, leaves Penn State, goes to the Giants last year, has over 1,300 yards. What does Miles Sanders do in the first opportunity he has without Saquon in front of him? 13 games, 220 attempts, 1,274 yards rushing, 5.8 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns. Caught 24 passes as well. The moment that Saquon wasn't there, Miles Sanders went off. Both of them last year right around 1,300, if not 1,300 yards. What does that tell you? It tells you that the NFC East has 2 Penn State guys that could get it done. Miles Sanders is going to be somebody, like Mike said, maybe you sneak up and you take him. Maybe you sneak up somewhere and you find him. More than likely, you can wait. More than likely, you can take some time and let that clock run. But sometimes, just sometimes, if your gut tells you, your gut's never wrong. Right? Your gut 99.9% of the time is going to be right. So Miles Sanders, I do agree with Mike, is the choice. Jordan Howard, no. I trust Corey Clement more than Jordan Howard because I know that Clement can catch passes and I know he can run the ball when he needs to. So Corey Clement's my flex. He's a guy that I can lean on a little bit. Jordan Howard, not so much. Miles Sanders, those numbers are Saquon Barkley numbers right when Saquon Barkley leaves. It's not a coincidence, just like luck is not something that you just get sometimes. It's labor under correct knowledge, like Mike said. If you do the work, if you study, if you have knowledge, if you have wisdom, if you put yourself around the right people at the right times in the right situations, then God just so happens to throw you a little bit of lady luck. But is it luck, or is it knowing that you've done everything in your power to be successful, and then you just have to be a little bit patient? The San Francisco 49ers, speaking of patience, they have it. They're hoping that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be better than the Matt Castles and everybody else that came from behind Tom Brady. It's yet to be seen because Jimmy G hasn't been healthy, but now he's got a chance to have a good season and be healthy. Tevin Coleman runs right up the line here as potentially the number 1 guy, reunited with Kyle Shanahan, as I spoke about before. Matt Breida's there. He did some good things, undrafted out of Georgia Southern. And Jerick McKinnon came there, was supposed to be the number 1 guy. I didn't trust him in Minnesota. And then stupid me, I said, I'm not going to draft Jerick McKinnon. And I drafted Jerick McKinnon, and he went out for the season with a torn ACL. Raheem Mostert, he was there as well. Matt Days is there from NC State, who spent some time with Cleveland, who I covered, who's a 1,000-yard back when he's healthy. So they got a lot of different players and a lot of youth among these young players, or a lot of youth among this depth of players, I should say, at running back with San Francisco, from Coleman to Breida to McKinnon to Mostert to Days. These guys have not been in the league a long time. So what do you think about the situation, Mike? Is it Tevin Coleman's to lose? Or are we going to see 2 to 3 heads out there in San Francisco?
It's both. Right now, Tevin Coleman's the guy at OTAs. He's the guy that's getting all the first-team reps. But, you take a look. This is a muddied situation. I know some fantasy football leagues, I know the Wake Up Call League in Florida is a team quarterback. If there was such a thing as a team running back, this would be the time you'd want a team running back. Yeah. I don't know if I want any of these guys. I got Tevin Coleman, number 29. I got Jerick McKinnon, number 39. And Matt Breida, number 59. They're all 9s on my list. It's funny. But, I don't think you can win many championships with a guy like that, with any one of those guys, because no matter which guy you pick, you're going to pick the wrong one. And that's Murphy's Law. Yeah. No luck involved there. That's Murphy's Law. If I had to wager on one, I would take Tevin Coleman, being the most recent path of success, he's been the one that's been relatively injury-free. Jerick McKinnon coming off the big knee injury. Matt Breida has never proved himself to be the guy that could, hey, I got this and take over. He's been spotty and he's been injured as well. Jeffrey Wilson has been in the fold, and Mozart. I don't think you can depend on any of these guys. They are one of the few teams with a fullback in Kyle Juszczyk, and I do like Kyle a lot. I think that brings a lot to the running game when you do have a fullback in the fold. But their young quarterback is going to try to stretch the field. They got some good young receivers who are going to be on the field making an immediate impact, and Deebo Samuel and a Jalen Hurd, but I don't think guys like Jordan Matthews are going to do much for the running game, and Marquise Goodwin and stretching the field. So they need these guys. They need Dante Pettis to take the next step. These things are going to help the running game. If you don't have a passing game, they can sneak 8 guys in the box. And no matter how many guys, no matter if you have 50 guys named Tevin Coleman, you're not going too far with 8 men in the box. So I think it's going to work out well. They're going to have some room. Don't forget, a guy like Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon are very adept at catching the ball out of the backfield. So if one of these guys catches fire, great. Maybe Tevin Coleman's an RB3 for me, and he takes off and produces RB1 type numbers. That'd be great. But don't go in expecting that. Go in expecting a muddled committee mess.
Yeah, and Tevin Coleman, I can't really agree with you more. I think Tevin Coleman is a guy who's capable, but I'm concerned with San Francisco's backfield being too muddied and too much going on. Kind of feels like Seattle had been in the last couple of years, and they're in the same division of the NFC West, ironically. But, yeah, Tevin Coleman, you pick him up, but he's kind of like Garrison Hurst, was to me a few years back, where I'm thinking in my head, is this guy going to get it done? Is this guy going to be somebody? Or is it just going to be, a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of good numbers, but not a lot of success? Tevin Coleman could be a steal. There's a lot of guys I would take ahead of him. That's just how it is. He's the starting running back on one of 32 NFL teams. Doesn't mean it's a good situation. Seattle, Chris Carson. Good when he's healthy. Rashad Penny. Underwhelming. CJ Prosise is still there from Notre Dame. Very underwhelming. J.D. McKissick is there. Had some moments. Bo Scarborough. Really good out of Alabama. Another one of those Alabama running backs that didn't translate. Went to the Cowboys, drafted in the 7th round. Didn't do anything. Was on the practice squad in Jacksonville. Didn't do anything. Now he's in Seattle. But they also drafted Travis Homer from the Miami Hurricanes, who in the last 2 seasons had over 160 attempts. 163 carries in 2017, 164 in 2018, 966 yards in 17, 985 in 2018. 6 yards a carry pretty much both seasons and a few touchdowns. Just shy of 1,000-yard back in Miami. Talk about muddied and dirty. Miami's all types of they were good, and then they got bad all of a sudden again. Over 160 carries in back-to-back seasons and just shy of being 1,000-yard back. Dare I say, could Travis Homer take over in Seattle?
Yeah, well, you brought up a good point with Homer, and Homer was used a lot, but against the Sisters of Mercy junior high softball team. I don't think they played anybody, so I'm not buying into Homer. I am buying into Chris Carson being the lead back. He's the number 1 guy there. The only problem with Chris Carson is he can't catch the ball worth a darn. So that means Rashad Penny's got an opening there. You're going to see a lot of that 1-2 punch. The situation depends on opponent. If they don't have to throw the ball, if they're looking to run the ball more, either at the beginning of the game or at the end of the game, or maybe even for some tempo in the middle of the game, you have to run the ball. In the NFL, I know it's a passing league, but if you don't run the ball, you're not passing the ball. You have to make the defense respect the run. You have to be able to run up the middle. That's what Chris Carson gets you. He's a big-bodied guy. He's fast. He can tote the rock. He can hold on to the ball. The one thing he can't do is catch passes very well. That's where Rashad Penny comes in. I got Chris Carson as an RB2. He goes up a little bit for me, but still stays in that RB2 classification in standard scoring. PPR league is where Rashad Penny evens that a little bit. They become a little more even on the rankings. Right now I got Rashad Penny at number 39 on my rankings in the PPR league. So I think it just depends on game flow, game planning, and the way things happen in the league. You never know. It's a dangerous situation, but don't count on either be your RB1 again. Chris Carson, a solid RB2, and I think Rashad Penny would be a good RB3, RB4. Tick that up a little bit in a PPR format.
Yeah, Chris Carson, 14 games, started all 14 last season, 1,151 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, caught 20 of the 24 targets thrown his way. So Carson is worth it. Not worth a first or second round pick, but he is worth putting on your team and having as your third running back. In my opinion, that's really the only guy that I look to in Seattle. Tampa Bay, Peyton Barber, Ronald Jones Jr., more of the same. They brought in Andre Ellington, free agent out of Houston, also played with the Arizona Cardinals. But what are your thoughts here in Tampa? They didn't draft a running back. They got Peyton Barber and they got Ronald Jones II.
Yeah, I like Peyton Barber. I like Peyton Barber to continue to get most of the load there. I think that he's outplayed Ronald. I don't know if Ronald Jones will be able to get on the field as much this year, although they're going to try. I think the game plan is to give it to Peyton Barber until he stops taking it, and then give it to Ronald Jones, because I think the Bucs are going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be great. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to surprise some people, but then there's going to be times you're going to turn around and go, it's the Bucs. It's the bad decisions that Jameis Winston makes. Well, they got some playmakers around them. Look for O.J. Howard to break out this year. Look for Mike Evans to get something done, and look for the better quarterback play. I don't think Jameis is going to play as bad as he's been, but I don't think it's smart for him to be around Tampa much longer. I don't think he's the answer. And I think with the new coach, we're going to see a change. They are going to run the ball, and Andre Ellington is there to bring that transition, but he's not a threat to score a lot of fantasy points. So I think if I was taking a chance on a Tampa running back, it would be Peyton Barber, but he would be my RB3 guy. Ronald Jones would be a bench warmer for me in hopes that nothing happened to Peyton Barber.
Yeah, I like Peyton Barber. He's another one of those like Tevin Coleman or Chris Carson. He's not the guy to take early. He's not the guy to have as your number one. But Peyton Barber's not bad, and his numbers aren't terrible. Last year, 16 games started in 16 games played. 234 rushes, 871 yards, 5 touchdowns, caught 20 of the 29 passes thrown his way, got a touchdown there as well. And he averaged just shy of 4 yards per carry. Peyton Barber's not bad. He's a guy that could fall to your 4th, 5th, 6th round, and you pick him up because not a lot of people believe in Tampa Bay. I'm not against Peyton Barber. He, again, like Chris Carson's a good third option at running back for me. He's not a first and he's not a second, but he's a good third option. Ronald Jones, my Lord, he's got to show somebody something, doesn't he? They spent a draft pick on him. They're wondering what the hell's going on. I'm wondering what the hell's going on. Mike's wondering what the hell's going on. And Jameis Winston's wondering when he can get some crab legs. We're all thinking of virtually almost the same thing. And so the point of the story is play Peyton Barber. That's just how it is. The Washington Redskins, as we finish off the backfields of America, NFC style, Adrian Peterson has, dare I say it, gotten pretty good as he's gotten a little bit older, look a little fine wine. Chris Thompson's been beautiful out of Florida State, doing all those special plays, getting into the backfield, running for 27 yards. That might be the only 27 yards that he has, but he makes the most of it. And Darius Geis, who was drafted last year as a rookie this year because he tore his ACL coming out of LSU, and then they still have Samaje Perine, and they have Bryce Love, who's not going to play this year. So you draft Darius Geis, but he's a rookie the following year. You draft Bryce Love, but he'll be a rookie next year for 2020, 2021. It looks like Washington's got a really good idea of building for the future and always having an arguable number one running back down the line. What do you think about this, Mike? They got a lot of guys like some of these other teams like Philadelphia, but I think they have more talent here in Peterson and Thompson and Darius Geis, and then Bryce Love back in the distance and Samaje Perine as well.
Yeah, you got to admire what Adrian Peterson's been able to do and what he continues to be able to do at his age. But he's a freak. He's a freak in nature. He's a freak talent. But I think it's going to be Darius Geis who's going to be the primary guy there come year's end. I'm sure we're going to see some sharing of the load. And Chris Thompson, is always good on third down and catching the ball out of the backfield. I think you're right. You're right on to something there. They seem to be building for the future. I mean, none of these guys scare me right now if I'm on the other line of scrimmage, even Adrian Peterson, because I think he has lost a step. But to say he lost a step, he was so far above everyone else already, now he's back even with a lot of guys. So I like Adrian Peterson still. I don't think he's more than an RB3, RB4 for me. Darius Geis the same way until he proves something. In a dynasty situation, I'm great with Geis. The future looks bright. Chris Thompson's going to be around for a little while. And in the dynasty situation, I'll take a late flyer on Bryce Love and hope that that pays off in the future there. He had an outstanding career before the injury in college. So yeah. I would think that Adrian Peterson is the guy to get the year off started. Darius Geis is going to end up being the number one running back overall, and you're going to see some Chris Thompson catching the ball. So use that knowledge to, for whatever it's worth there. They're not a team that scares me to stretch the field, although with Terry McLaurin out of Ohio State, maybe they will be able to. We'll just have to see. Case Keenum doesn't scare me. Dwayne Haskins may take the field before Case Keenum. If Dwayne Haskins takes the field this year as the starter, you can double down and kick all those running backs up a notch or two because they'll be getting more carries. So, again, just be cautious. Those guys have something to contribute, but they're not top-level guys.
No, I think Trey Quinn's going to do some things too. Mr. Irrelevant out of SMU is a pretty good wide receiver. So I think Haskins makes the team better. I think he boosts everybody like Mike, bumps it up a notch. But, Adrian Peterson, I agree. I think Adrian Peterson, Chris Thompson, Darius Geis, because of where things are at right now, because AP is a little bit older, because Thompson's not trusted all the time, and because Geis is coming off of a torn ACL, in our league, in the Wake Up Call Fantasy Football Challenge, the 5 leagues that we have, they all have 2 flex every week. And that flex is a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end. This is where I put each of these guys right now. I put them in the flex because I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how Geis is going to translate. Thompson, I think of as more of just like a special, he comes in as a purposeful run here or a pass here or whatever that may be. And then Adrian Peterson, he's been doing pretty good. He plays injured. And, that's something that I can respect is that, he plays and pushes through. But none of these guys feel like the dominant guy. And until they figure it out, Mike and I can't figure it out to tell you more than put them in the flex and let them just kind of run happy with it and see what they can do. I think if you get any of these 3, you're going to have some success. It's just who's going to show out. But I think Darius Geis is the one I lean on for the future. And I think that that's what Washington was doing when they drafted him. With that being said, wait, there it is. There it is. That's Mike Sofka. Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. Myself, Dan Tortora of WakeUpCallDT.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time minimal. Today we went to noon. We started at breakfast. It's already time for lunch. Charney's Men's Studios, 3150 Erie Boulevard East. Mike, as always, I appreciate you. I thank you not only for your time, but your extended time. I thank you for, all that you bring to the show. There is not a better fantasy partner than Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. Go there for free as well as paid opportunities to help out your fantasy football team. Mike's got the hardware to prove it, so make sure you check it out. The Backfields of America. Mike, as always, thank you so much, and we're going to stay on that stoic pose that you have. We appreciate you very much.
All right, bye.
I'll talk to you later. So that coming from Mike Sofka of FantasyFootball.com. We'll finish the video here on Wake